Hey guys, we're back with another episode of Gun Gamers. I'm Kyle.
I'm Eric.
And we're going to be talking about food for 24-hour events.
Yeah. Now we have two very distinct, different options here.
Correct.
And we'll kind of talk about the advantages and disadvantages of each and maybe talk about some alternative ones that maybe we're not as fond of or maybe that we are fond of, but we'll discuss.
Yeah, the first thing is, actually, we should start with this because this is what everybody tends to do.
Yeah. So this is, now it doesn't look like it right now, and I'll talk about that. This is an MRE. Or at least this is the main components of an MRE.
It's a lot of MREs chunks.
Yes. So MREs are very popular for MilSim games and for, 24-hour events. And a lot of people will be like, oh, it's because you want to be in the military. It's like, well, no, it's actually because they're just super convenient because you can eat them without heating or cooking or anything.
And they're cheap. Yeah. So I think, because if you buy a case of MREs, you can buy a case, again, from Amazon. God, she could give us sponsorship.
Yeah, right. We should have an affiliate link.
And, you can buy a case for like $70, sometimes even less. And that's 12 meals that are 11 to 1,300 calories a piece.
Yeah.
And it's cheap. It's cheap, easy food. It's cheaper than this stuff. And we'll get into this stuff. But, it's cheap, and you don't need to worry about heating it. It comes with these flameless heaters.
You can get a flameless heater. You can use that if you want. But generally, I don't.
I always do. I hate them cold.
Yeah, and that's the thing. You can do either way. I just tend to eat them cold because I'm a simple mongoloid. But yeah, and you can get these even if you don't want to buy a case. Yeah. You can get them individually for anywhere from like $12 to $18.
Yep.
Depending on what one you pick, what one you want, or what kind of deal you get. And buying individual MREs, just so you can get the ones you want, cool. And I do that a lot just so I can have exactly what I want. I kind of know what ones I like, and I'm just like, screw it, I'm just gonna buy the ones I want, and I'll pay a little more money, but it's worth it to me. And I usually bring like 3 or 4 MREs worth of food onto the field. What I've been doing lately is more like 3 MREs.
Yes.
And then like some supplemental food.
Yes.
Like I like to bring beef jerky, protein bars, stuff like that.
Snacks are good.
Complete cookies.
Yes.
Complete cookies are the bomb. If you don't like complete cookies, I don't like you.
You know what? And they're friendly with anyone's diet because, believe it or not, complete cookies are actually vegan.
And gluten-free.
And gluten-free. So you have no excuse not to fucking eat them unless you're like allergic to
Unless you
everything.
don't like cookies.
Yeah, unless you don't like cookies.
And if you don't like cookies, I will find you.
Yeah.
So that's what I've been doing lately. Is I've been doing MREs. I'll buy like the protein heavy entree meals.
Yep.
And I'll eat those, and then I'll do like complete cookies and protein bars and dried fruit.
Yes.
A lot of people forget that just because you're out for 24, 48 hours, and they're like, oh, I don't have to eat my fruits and veggies while I'm out there. No, you want that.
You think people eat fruits and veggies?
True, but you should still be trying to get some of the nutrition that you need from, your fruits and veggies. So I recommend bringing bags of dried fruit.
And if a lot of people strip MREs and take the entrees out, like that's what
which is what I do. I usually put it in a freezer bag like this.
Honestly, I find I can eat pretty much almost anything out of the MREs. I take very few things out. Usually only the drink mixes.
I usually take out the drink mixes because, God, those are gross.
Those are weird.
And I also take out the accessory packets.
Yes, the accessory packets I take out too. But generally speaking, MREs, the taste of modern ones, it's good. It's not great, but it's definitely not.
It's good enough.
Yeah.
If you can eat cold McDonald's, you can eat this.
Yeah, it's not bad food. I would definitely not put it there. So disadvantage to those to MREs though is weight.
Yeah, I mean they are a little heavy.
Yes.
And the other disadvantage is a lot of people don't like them.
A lot of people, people who don't like them. Military people don't like them. Military people fucking hate these things. But we haven't been forced to eat them endlessly,
exactly.
So we don't have the problem.
Yeah, I'm a stupid civilian, so I only ever eat these things a couple times a year, and I'm like, whatever, it's fine.
It's fine.
But if I did have to compare, I would say Mountain House and Backpacker's Pantry. I would say freeze-dried food is better.
Yes.
And a lot of people who don't like MREs actually do like the cold weather MREs.
Yes.
Because the cold weather MREs are basically just Mountain House meals.
They're Mountain House meals. They literally are Mountain House.
Yeah, I mean, they're OEM'd by Mountain House.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So, MRE's advantage, easy, no cooking. You can get them pretty cheap.
Yes.
But disadvantage, a lot of people don't like the taste, and they have gastric consequences.
They can have gastric consequences.
We'll leave that at that. But, if you break them down, just take the components you want, put them into a freezer bag like this. You can cut down the weight of them a lot. You can cut down the bulk of them a lot. And I recommend supplementing them with, morale item food, beef jerky, complete cookies, protein bars, freeze-dried fruit. Get dried fruit.
Yeah, I would say that pretty much covers MREs.
Yeah.
And then the most obvious alternative is, your backpacker's pantry. Now, this is a dessert here. I just brought one out. But the advantage of these is they're significantly lighter.
Yep.
And they are more tasty. But there are downsides to this. The downside is they're all dehydrated. So what this means is you need to heat them up. Now, you could do them cold, technically speaking.
Yeah, but it would be like eating crunchy, freeze-dried, scrambled eggs.
You don't want to do it. You can do it. Don't recommend it. So you need a cook system, which adds weight.
Yep.
Now, this is pretty much about as late as you could get. You could probably shave.
Usually, you see something more like a jet boil system, which I actually own one, but I don't really use it that much because I just went.
This costs a little bit less than a jet boil system, and I'll just break this down real quick. This is the heater. Is just very simple heater with a piezo ignition system, so you don't have to worry about lighters or anything like that. Then I have a titanium pot, which I just use to boil water and then pour into those. And then I have a gas canister.
But the advantage of some jet boils is they have a taller pot than this, which means you get more water at once.
And you can do a taller pot than this, but this is all I need to rehydrate one of these, which is why I went with this size. Because this plus the spoon, this is a titanium spoon, and actually I will use this with MREs.
Yeah.
Because it's a long handle spoon, it's only like 50 grams, and it just works well. So I highly recommend it, and this is like $10. So if you're tired of breaking MRE spoons, or you forget to pack them all the time, switch to this. I like this a lot, and it's a longer handle too, which is nice. But the other big disadvantage to this is cost. These are much more expensive than an MRE is going to run per calories, and you need a lot of water to rehydrate.
And you need time to cook them.
And time.
Yep.
So because you're going to spend, even with a jet boil, or if you crank this way up so you're not being as efficient, you're going to spend 1 minute heating on the water system.
Yeah.
And then it takes, I think they say,
usually they want it to stand anywhere from like 3 to 8 minutes, depending on what it is.
Reduce heat, cook for 5 minutes. Yeah. And then cover at low heat for 10 minutes.
Oof. Even worse than I remembered.
Yeah, 10 minutes. 10 minutes sitting around doing nothing. So that sucks. But what you can do is if you get the water boil, you pour it in, zip it closed, shake it up, and then you can just kind of wait. And you'll get it 90% of the way
Now,
there.
if you have a really well-coordinated squad, I'm actually considering going back to those.
Yes.
Because they do taste better, in my opinion.
They definitely taste better.
I am considering going back to those because the horror story I had that made me switch to MREs was I went to Caspian Gap, and it was my first MilSim West game. And it was not as cohesive a unit overall now, I'm not hating on my guys who went. I love you, Lutz. But I think we didn't have as much practice doing rotations. So I ended up being on watch, without relief, away from all my food and whatnot. And then by the time I got back, I didn't have time to cook food. So I ended up eating very little that game, and I had a real problem. But now that we have a little more practice, now that we're better at time management as a unit, I think it would be a lot easier for me to use something like that. But if you're worried about time, MREs are great, but those do taste better.
Yes.
And they're lighter.
Correct.
But you do need more time. You do need a cook system.
Yep.
And you also need to make sure you have fuel.
Yep, and more water.
Yep. And you need to carry extra water for them, which is weight. So you almost arguably make up the weight difference.
I did actually math out the weight because I was curious, because of course I did. Technically speaking, if you follow the instructions to the letter, calorie-wise, this is actually a good bit heavier than these are.
Per calories.
Per calories. So, but you also get a little natural hydration with these as well. So is it heavier technically? I would say actually yes. But it is much more tasty. And you are getting a little bit of hydration with it. So
yeah. So
It's all give and take.
And it's a morale boost.
It's a morale boost.
I do remember when I was at Caspian Gap, like I think I managed to actually cook one meal, but it was I think it was scrambled eggs.
Yeah.
And I managed to cook and rehydrate scrambled eggs, and that was eating scrambled eggs in the middle of Caspian Gap. I'm like, this is awesome. This is great. So 10 out of 10 right there. Would recommend. So I think I'm going to go back to those just because they taste so good, and because I think we're better at time management now.
Yes.
But MREs are very good for flexibility.
I'm gonna run a split. I'm gonna be running these when it's cold weather, so I can get always hot meals.
Okay.
And then when it's warm weather, I'll just be managing with these.
Okay.
So I'll probably run a split for it and see, and then I actually will probably iron down because I've only done a few overnight games.
Yeah.
So this will actually be a good way for me to iron out
which one
way
do you
I
prefer?
like. Now, say you don't have a lot of money though, and you're saying, I don't want to spend 10 plus a meal, and I don't want to spend 10 plus a meal here. What do I do? Look up backpacking food.
Yep.
You do not need to buy this shit to have a good backpacking meal. Absolutely is not required. You don't even need a cook system if you're smart.
Yeah.
Look up the reviews. There are so many options. There's things called cold soaking. There is a bunch of different ways you could have all your food. It can be lightweight and it can be cheap. Now, I'm just going to go out and say this though. Be forewarned, if you start looking at how ultralighters do it, they stop thinking about taste and thinking about calories, and it gets a little weird. They do packages of tuna mixed with ramen.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's a thing. I don't recommend that one, but there's tons of options out there. You can go to your local grocery store and you can put together a MilSim West amount of food in a reasonable package and not spend a ton of money. There's a million ways to do it.
I mean, heck, I've seen people just bring a jar of peanut butter.
Yeah, absolutely. You could literally just eat fucking peanut butter the whole game.
Yeah, I wouldn't recommend
shit
it
for a week, but you could do it.
Yeah, there are ways to get creative. Think about, really, hey, what food can I bring that won't spoil for 48 hours?
Correct.
And that I'll want to eat for 48 hours and that I can carry.
Cheese is actually really
I actually have a personal story from Josh Warren of MilSim West.
Okay.
He told me that at one or more MilSim West games, he may or may not have had a lobster tail that he cooked in his jet boil.
That's amazing.
So yeah, that was quite a thing. If you get creative, you could really do some.
You can go
stuff.
from living off of peanut butter, lobster tail, anywhere in between. You have a really wide market to work with.
Yeah, you could do whatever you can do if you get creative enough.
But yeah, I mean, these are your idiot-proof options.
Yep.
And then if you're good with cooking or if you've done backpacking before, you've seen other options. There's a lot of different ways. Or if you are the worst human being imaginable and you have no sense of taste, you know what you can do? Really cheap, really easy? Get those emergency ration bars and eat those.
Oh, God, no. Oh, it's like chalk.
It's terrible. But if you want literally the lightest, calorie-dense food and it's cheap, and
God, it's like hardtack. What are we in the Civil War?
oh, it's rough, man.
It's bad.
I like lightweight. I could not do that.
Or you could eat hardtack, if you want to Civil War simulate. Oh, God. No. But generally speaking, I think these are the two options we're more fond of.
Yeah. These are I like idiot-proof options.
Yeah.
Because we were doing more just 24-hour games, I would probably experience more with, what can I cook or bring or something like that. But these are safe.
Yep.
And they can't go wrong. So
that's why I like them.
That's
because
why
I'm an idiot.
Yeah. So, well, you know what? And when you're not sleeping, you do dumb shit.
Yep.
You do really, really dumb shit. So anything that requires assembly, you are prone to fucking up royally. Yep. I mean, I actually, and this is going to be an embarrassing story here, I had a jet boil, and I had an event where we didn't sleep a lot. And if you don't know jet boils, they come up with a plastic measuring cup that goes underneath the heating coil. Now, if you're not really conscious in the morning and you just go to heat your jet boil up, guess what you forget to do? Remove the plastic measuring cup from underneath it. And that is how I no longer had a plastic measuring cup for my jet boil. Was not good.
Yeah, that was pretty funny.
And that is the most simple, basic thing, but it proves once you start losing sleep, you can screw anything up. So you want whatever you go with, simple. Simple is good. But that applies to our sleep system video as well.
Yeah.
Simple is fucking good.
Simple is the best. But yeah, I think that about covers it.
Nice and easy for this.
And bring plenty of water.
Water.
I recommend like at least 3 liters per day on you.
Technically, minimum. If you're not using any for cooking, 2 liters per day will work. If you're using anything for cooking or you're a big boy, you need more than 2 liters. And here's
the thing: if I tell people 2 liters per day, they'd be like, "Oh, well, I can probably get away with 1 or 1.5 liters."
Yeah, no, don't. No,
you can't.
No, you can't. Absolutely, you cannot. Don't do it. You know what? Let's talk about hydration actually real briefly. There's a couple different ways you can transport water.
Yep.
A lot of people use the Camelbacks. Those work well. Some
Yep.
people abuse the shit out of those and constantly pop them.
Yeah.
I'm a fan of source bladders, and those work well for me. What do you?
Yeah, I have a Camelback bladder
You have a
that I
Camelback.
usually use for longer events.
Correct.
But funny story, I actually bled all the water out of my Camelback bladder by putting a bunch of stuff on top of it, and the bite valve got crushed.
Correct.
And I actually lost all of my water in my Camelback and had less than half of the water I was supposed to have when we went to Saratov.
Yep.
So that was how Brian got to know me as the world's thirstiest airsofter, because every time he saw me, I was going to and from the refill to make sure I had plenty of water.
Because you also, unlike camping, you can't just bring a little bit of water with you and then expect to find a stream or you're walking near a water source and you can filter it. That's not an option with these 24-hour games because they're not near water sources.
Oftentimes they will have refills.
That is true.
And that is something that I think a lot of people don't think about. And, as a result, end up panicking if they start getting low on water. And I'll admit I was kind of guilty of that. But if you are paying attention and you're communicating with your squad leader, who's usually in communication chain of command, you can figure out, hey, where's the water refill? Where can I go get more water? So communicating and being active in the chain of command and not just only ever thinking about the BB war game. You can get water if you need water. They're not going to let you die. You're a customer.
Yeah.
So they have water. It's available. You can go get water.
I don't recommend relying on that, though.
I don't recommend only using the refill and being like, I brought 1 liter of water, I'm just going to keep refilling it. I recommend bringing 2 or 3 liters of water per day. I tend to err toward 3 liters. So I usually bring 6 liters of water with me in my MilSim West.
Which is a lot of weight.
Yeah, but worth it.
Worth it. Totally worth it. Now, if you're looking for a bomb-proof water container, because you do shit like what he did and lose it all about that, Nalgene bottles are...
Or canteens.
Those things are tanks, and they work really, really well. Now, if you're looking to save weight, regular water bottles that you can buy from the 1 liter or 1.5 liter
smart water bottles.
The smart water bottles or Fiji
I use those
or
a
any
lot.
of those. They are lighter than Nalgene's and the Hydro packs, but they hold just as much water.
Yeah.
So
and you can still refill them. It's not like there's a rule you have to recycle them when you're done with them. You can still refill them.
I have a liter and a half one I take to every big event. It's just an old water bottle and it works really well. So
Or I've even seen people fill 2-liter soda bottles with water. Yeah. Because they had them laying around and they just put them under their sink and said, here, I got 2 liters of water.
Correct.
It works. You just got to get creative.
Yeah. So if you don't have a fancy source bladder and you don't want to spend the money for an Nalgene, you don't have to. There's plenty of good options.
I went to when I went to Desolation, I actually didn't have a Camelback of any sort because I wasn't really running a backpack. I just had my satchel. So what I did instead was I had canteens. Yep. So I had 1 canteen on my belt, and then I had another 2-liter canteen that I had on my ruck, so I could go back and drink from that. You can have as much water as you need, not needing to rely on a bladder. People think they need bladders. I actually am now of the opinion that bladders are somewhat overrated. I still like them, but I don't think they're the best option in all cases.
I like them for assault pack and highly mobile shit, or
plate carrier
or plate carriers. But when it comes to 24-hour games, I only need a liter there, and everything else is in better containers. Yeah,
I don't want to rely on that as being my only source of water.
No.
So I always have backups.
Yes, I have the same mindset.
Yep.
But I would say, well, then we covered water as well, so I'd say food and water, that about covers it, would you say?
I'd say that just about covers it.
All right, so that's it for this one. I'm Kyle.
And I'm Mehouse. And we'll catch you in the next one. Peace.
See ya.
Thank you for watching this video from Gun Gamers. We hope you enjoyed watching it as much as we enjoyed making it. Check the description below if you'd like to buy a t-shirt or a patch, and use the coupon code JUDY10 for 10% off of your next order at Amped Airsoft. Thank you again for watching, and praise Judy.